ahead to create this table here. It just contains order informations, sales information for a certain store. So we have the order ID, the date the order was made. We have the customer ID here. We have the customer name, the region. We have the product name, the product category, the unit price, and the quantity, and the shipping fee. So to create an Excel table here, we come to the insert button here, and then we select a table. Now I don't want to create a pivot table. We're going to look at that later. I want to just create a regular table. And the good things about this table, it helps us with our analysis. So now that we clicked on tables, let me do it again in case you missed that. Come to table and then you click on it. I see that Excel has selected the range for us. If it did not, make sure that your selection goes to the range that you want it to go. And our table has headers, so we're ticking the box that our table has headers. And when we click on OK, we can see something here. So one important thing to note is that let me change this format here so that we can see tweak it. So one important thing we can note here is that our tables now have these drop downs around them. So what that helps us do is to sort and to filter our table. So for example, we have this region here. So we can decide to sort our tables by either A to Z, Z to A, or we can filter them whichever way we want. Or we can just come and say we want to see only the sales for South, for example, and then we have only this for South. Let's look at another one just for the West, and we see we have the West sales that happen in the West are all of these and all of these that you have here. So you can always clear that, or you can come here and you can clear the filters here. Clear the filters here. So you can also do a sort. So let us say we sort by the unit price. Let's say largest to smallest. So we have the smallest here up there, and we have the largest down there. So different ways that you could sort this is to smallest to largest here. We also have the same thing, smallest at the top, the largest order ID number below. So another awesome feature that comes with tables is that it helps us to do some kind of calculations real quickly. So for example, if you see here, we have a unit price and we have the quantity. So for you to know how much was made from buying this product, you need to multiply the unit price by the quantity. So to do that, you can just come here. So on this column, let's say I want to put in revenue. So if I do that and I press on enter, you see that it has already populated everything that I have. It has added it as though I created it as part of my table initially, and it's already given us the sort arrow there. So we can sort, we can filter by whatever I want to filter it by. So let's create this calculation here. So once we do the unit price, you can see it's showing us unit price. So you can see that it's referencing the entire column. It's not just referencing that cell. And then when we click on enter, you see that it autofills automatically for us. We do not need to, let's change this to dollars. We do not need to use the autofill feature here because it autofills automatically for us. That's one awesome thing that you take note of when working with Excel tables. So another awesome thing about tables is that you can name this table. So for example, this table here, you can come and name it to be a descriptive name. So let's say this table is sales information. So let's just do it sales data, and we have sales data as the table name here. So if we did this table now, it's called sales data table. Now, good thing about the tables is that you can immediately put, okay, let's click the table, come back to design. You can immediately, if you go to the design tab of the table, you can see that we have a few table style options here. So I can immediately just put this here, let's say a total rows. And what does that do here? It puts a row here and gives us the total. Can decide to it puts the row here and gives us what the total for that particular, for this table. I feel that things to take note of when working with your Excel tables is that you could, for example, reorder your columns. So you can come here and then you come here and then you move. I want to move that region to this point, and you will see that region is going to move from there. Okay, I'll move from there to this point. Let's say I want to reorder this. You go to that column and you go to the edge of the box until you see the cross like this. Click it, and then you could move to wherever you want to put it, and then you have it right there. So you see that tables are really important in Excel. They make life easier for us, basically. You see our calculations are a lot easier than it will be if we're working with individual cells. Then another important thing I've talked about also is the filtering capabilities of the Excel table. So for example, for our order dates, you see that we have different years here. So I can decide to just see what happened in a certain year. And if I filter this, you see that we have just the orders that happened in that particular year. Our table is filtered to show just that. So that's a really awesome feature in our tables that could come in handy while we are trying to do some simple analysis. So another thing to point out, remember earlier I showed you the total row. So let me just quickly show you a few things that are possible using total row. Now you can see that we just have this total here, but for the other ones, there's nothing there. So when you put the total row, you have a couple of functions that can occur on that column automatically put in there by the table. So for this shipping fee, let's say we want to, instead of seeing our sum, let's say we want to see the average shipping fee there. See our average shipping fee here, which makes sense, is $132. Let's see a total quantity here. Let's do the total quantity of what we sold is 1,304 items for the period. The average unit price, let's look at the average unit price, is $22.44. Let's see for customer ID, we don't need to do anything there. Let's do anything here. Okay, so you see that we have a couple of functions that can work on these totals column. There are a lot more functions. If you want to check out more functions, you'll be able to see carry out some more functions. And obviously, you know that when you check a particular function, these are logical functions, you see what those functions do. And remember, I told you in the earlier video, you can use this help on this function to be able to see what this function does, showing you examples of how to apply them in your tables. So let's just get rid of this because we don't really need it right now. So another awesome feature here is that it helps us to get rid of duplicate values. So let me duplicate some entries on this our table so we can see how this works. We'll just copy this here. Okay. Let me just come and put that down below. Come here, put it also here, come here. So we have, as it gets the same entry twice for this cell. Carbon design. So these rows I just added down here, they're not part of the table, so I want to add them. So let me just do that. Let me just do that. I want to add to L23, so L23, and then okay, and then we have our tables. All right, okay, so I want to get rid of duplicates, so I can just select any cell on there, and then on the table tools, you see this remove duplicates. Come and click on it, and once I click on it, you see it's going to delete duplicate values. Select one or more columns that contain duplicate values. So if I want to get rid of duplicate values across my whole table, I leave all the tables checked, all the columns checked here, and I click on OK. So what it will do is that it will search every single column and then delete every row that we have duplicates values for, and only leave unique values there. So remember, I added 3 things here which were already there, so it found that 3 duplicate values were found until you remove them, so we have 13 unique values. So this is a very awesome feature that we have that tables allow us to do. Now let's look at how these tables integrate with pivot tables. Now the good thing about tables is that you can create pivot tables from them and they integrate seamlessly. So to do that, let us come to, so while we are here, let's look at summarize with pivot table. Come here, and it's, what does it say? It says summarize the data in this table using a pivot table. Now pivot table makes it easy to arrange and summarize complicated data and drill down on the details. So let's click on that, and you see that Excel, it already selects the range of our table here, and then that is what we're using as our source. The table name here, remember we named the table sales data, and that's why we have the table name being there, the range being the sales data table. So it automatically selects the range of the table for us. If you wanted to use an external source, you will click on this tab, which we'll visit in another video. So we put it in a worksheet. We don't want to add this to our data model. We'll also visit what a data model is later, and then click on OK. And here we have all the columns from our table to use to make our pivot table. So let's start viewing a few things. Let's say let's want to look at our sales, our revenue per, we'll look at category. Now our revenue per category, this is what we have here. This dollars. So this is what we have here, revenue per category. So let us, one awesome thing like I talked about is that this pivot table is linked to our regular table. So let me update the figures here. Let me just copy a few figures and add them again so that our figures can increase. Can enter. So I just duplicated this 3 and put them again here so that we can have more figures. So now that has been put in there. So watch what will change in these figures here. This is what is the total. Where we have 22,076. It will obviously change, but for it to change, you have to come to the pivot table tools. Then you click on analyze, and once you click on refresh here, click on refresh, you see that we have 27,397. That's because new data came in to our table. New data came into our table. So when we clicked on refresh, this table became formatted correctly. It updated the figures to what is on our actual table right now. So that's how you see that these tables and pivot tables, they work hand in hand, and they communicate seamlessly together. So for more on pivot tables, we're going to look at that in a later video. But let's go back to our tables. Another thing that is good to note for tables is how they work seamlessly with charts. In one of our earlier videos, we had worked with charts here, but let's look at it here and look at a few examples. On the Insert tab, if you come to your charts here, we have something called the recommended charts. So you can do this, just click our recommended charts here, and then you're going to have suggestions on the kind of charts that can come out of this table. We have sum of unit price by customer name. We have sum of shipping fee by product name. We have sum of unit price by product name, sum of shipping fee by region, and so on and so forth. So there are a whole lot of them here. You can check them out. Recommended charts based on the data that you have. There's also recommended pivot tables that you can have here. You see we have sum of unit price, sum of shipping fee, sum of order, and so on and so forth. So this is very, very good functionality here. So you might not need to remember how to create those pivot tables. As far as your table is structured correctly, Excel will help you figure out some of the possible pivot tables that you can create, based on the data that you have on that table. So let's just quickly do, let's just drop a simple chart here. Let's use one of the recommended charts. Sum of unit price by customer name, sum of shipping fee. I don't want any of this. Yeah, let's do sum of revenue by region. And then it drops it here for us. I wanted it on this page, but that's fine. So if we look at this, we see values that we have here. So now I want to add some more figures to the south. So let me go and add some figures to the south so that our revenue there can spike up. So let's look at, here's our region, south. We have this here. So let me just change this to 300, quantity. Let me just change this to 300 because it's going to make whatever that product is to sell to have sold a whole lot more. So if we come back here and look at this, you refresh this, and then you see that the south has been updated. Of course, you can style this charts. You can add more charts. You can add some styles to it, color and what have you.